Hey everybody, real quick, Tito here. We had to use the backup recording today. These things happen when you have guests on, not a big deal. I think that it sounds fine. You get a little more crosstalk and a little bit more background noise. It's a great episode. Hope you enjoy it.
Welcome back to Bread and Butter, everybody. We're serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement in episode 99. I am Doc McButt, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Tito. Tito, how are you doing today?
Doc, 99 episodes. What are you thinking about that?
It's a big number.
It's a big number, and I just talked about this on my other podcast, the Talking Hearthstone. Is it's like that? I had come to you a few weeks ago with things in my life, and I was just like, maybe we better put this on pause. And you were very supportive, but I said, you know what? Hold on, let's hold that notion. Let's keep on going. And I think we made the right decision here. So we get some announcements this week from Blizzard. It was the 30th Warcraft anniversary, and there was going to be some updates to Hearthstone. So I had originally scheduled the Pillar of Positivity, Zeddy. Zeddy, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am great. I just saw that Alex Ovechkin scored another goal, so I'm very excited. Speaking of 99, he's on the quest to catch the great one. So,
oh heck yeah!
And since we are going to have some updates to Arena, even though we had already booked the wonderful guest Zeddy, who could encapsulate the show all by himself, with Arena, I figured I had to bring on our Arena expert, Judge. Judge, how are you tonight?
Hey, Tito, I'm great. How you doing? I almost wanted to not wait for my intro to be like, how many is Ovi at now? How many away is he from Gretzky at the moment?
30, I think.
30. Still, yeah, he's gonna make it, dude. He's gonna make it.
It's just gonna be a question of it's gonna be this year or next year.
You know, we were joking around just before we started this podcast about like, you know, we got us two Canadians on here just talking hockey, and then we just immediately side rail the entire intro about Hearthstone and start talking about it. But yeah, it's good to be here, Tito.
Well, Judge, speaking of Hearthstone, what have you been doing in the world of Hearthstone lately?
So I have, of course, been playing the most wonderful mode of Arena. I've actually been playing some of the least amount of Hearthstone I've played in like a long time. Not anything to do with like the meta or enjoyment, but just because I've been so busy outside of Hearthstone, which I think in turn has helped me honestly kind of probably enjoy it more because I'm not like overdoing it, streaming so many days of the same thing or the same meta. So been just playing a lot of different classes in the Arena, enjoying finally not having to deal with the variants that dual class brings in, right? With 110 class combinations, that was getting pretty imbalanced, which is, you know, it's a fun event. So that's kind of forgiven for a little while, but it's nice to be playing some single class Arena. Been memeing around with some pretty weird decks. And for some reason it's been working. I think it might, like, my average is something stupid closer to 9 or 10 with some of the weaker classes. So just having fun playing Arena as I do.
How is the Arena meta now since they've made the switch off the dual class to single class and the Dark Beyond?
So obviously that's always the question, right? And usually you're going to have some of one opinion, some of another. I think that at this point in like how long Arena has existed, you know, I know we're going to get to it, coming into some updates and things are going to change later on, that for me it's like more important that things are just kind of like changing rather than, you know, we're getting new stuff and getting a new meta, getting, you know, ideally some balances rather than like any one meta being particularly strong. I've been enjoying this one. I think it's got its you know, its power outliers like kind of anything in Hearthstone nowadays, but whether it's just because I've been playing a little less or because it's not dual class, I've been enjoying it enough in the last bit. I think that it would benefit from some attention in the balance field, but you know, I'll probably talk a little more when we talk about the changes coming up, why I understand they might not be doing a ton of balancing right now, right? Probably a lot of people focusing on the new Arena that's going to be coming. But I think all things considered, it's fine. Death Knight's broken, but hey, it's Hearthstone. What's new, you know? So, but it's pretty good. It's all right. It's okay. 60%, 6 out of 10.
When you say a lot of people are focused on Arena, I think you mean maybe two people. The two people that work on Arena are focused on the new.
Yeah. So 100% of the people who are focused on the new stuff, right? Exactly. Yeah. So like they're definitely forgiven for not like being posting weekly updates in Arena or whatever right now, obviously.
How about yourself, Zeddy? What have you been up to in the world of Hearthstone?
I'm mostly been just jamming Arena as well. I've been mostly playing Arena almost all year because like just have not liked pretty much any of the metas for the most part. And Arena just, I don't know, ever since they made the first legendary rule, and there's quite a bit of rotating seasons lately. It's just, and Arena is what got me into Hearthstone to begin with. So I've just been playing it a lot, and I do dabble in, I always get my legends done in Standard and Wild Twist if it's ever open. And yeah, Arena's been good. It's way better right now without the dual class. Death Knight's too good, but I like playing Death Knight, so I just pick it a lot. And I don't know, I've been like I've had a good, I had a 12 with Druid recently and Mage, and it's only like a few classes are kind of unplayable. And for Arena meta, it's as good as it kind of gets these days. It's just wish that, yeah, they would do a bit more adjustments, like, or any. I think the only adjustment we've had the past like 3 months is they took Huddle Up out of the pool to draft, and that's about it. So, but overall, yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I want to launch starships a bit more in Standard, but it's pretty hard with what's going on with the old stuff just dominating so much. It's really hard to play new stuff right now.
That's fair. Page and Dr. McButt, what have you been doing in Hearthstone?
So I've been playing a lot of Zoo Shaman and Asteroid Shaman. And then a deck that I was low on when the cards got revealed, I've fallen in love with, Discover Hunter. Discover Hunter has been so much fun. There's just a bunch of different lines to be pretty resilient as how that deck functions. Like there was one turn I cast 3 of the summon the 2/5 alien armadillo porcupine things. So that was crazy. And then getting to squawk it the next turn was even crazier. So I just built up an impenetrable wall, and then I just buffed them all and just got big board very fast after just playing a long like attrition game, which usually Hunter's not super great at. So it was pretty fun to get to do something that the class is just pretty weak at for a long time. And then it just generates a bunch of cards. If you have the forget the name, but it's the one mana 1/2 Draenei that when you discover a card, you get the copy of it. And so you can do some pretty weird, like loopy stuff with that too. It's just been fun. Hearthstone's fun. I've been playing some BGs. I got in a pretty rough spot for a minute after I hit 5K. And then now I've started to climb again. I'm at like 51 or 5,200. So like not a huge bunch of 5K, but like there was a lot of games where I got 6th to 8th, and so that felt pretty bad. But what have you been doing inside Hearthstone, Tito?
I've also been playing some Battlegrounds. I'm almost at 6K with duos. Not duos. Duos, right? That's what we call it. Duos. Two people playing Hearthstone, but Battlegrounds. Me and Pilot play a lot, so we're almost there. And I also have been playing, I realize I kind of have not played a lot of normal Battlegrounds. So the last couple days, I've had some times where I'm cataloging some Magic cards, which, separating them by color and then by alphabetical, and then, adding them into the database. And it's a long, tedious process, and Battlegrounds is kind of, I think, suited for kind of work like that. And I'm almost up to 5K right now, and we've had some really good games. And so I've been really enjoying that. But aside from that, Asteroid Shaman's been my jam. I've been playing World's 8 lists, which doesn't even run the Meteor Storm. It's very kind of the spells are limited, but you have some spell damage, and it's just such a fun deck. I haven't played any Paladin since the set launched because I'm waiting for Librams to actually be in a place where they're playable. And I know I need to be playing other things to be prepared for THL, and I found that out this week when I went 0-3. And Asteroid Shaman just didn't cut it. But after starting off with Elemental Mage and climbing, get to Legend, I've just been playing Asteroid Shaman. Before it was good, and now after that, we actually have a pretty decent list that's out there, and it's competitive, and it's fun. And to me, it's just the meta's been fine. I think we've seen less of the rogue there, the Quasar Rogue, which is fine. And yeah, overall, I'm just seeing a lot of diversity, even if it's older diversity, and we'll talk about that later too. But um, Doc, what have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
Yeah. So I mean, I play a lot of Commander or EDH, whatever you want to call it. It's just a fun way to play Magic with a bunch of people, and I've been deck building. I made a new green, blue, red deck, which is just focused on Hydras and X spells, and then my commander can manipulate and copy whatever I spend into X costs, and so I get like just a bunch of extra value. And then I made a 60 card standard list for standard paper Magic, and so I'm going to start going to standard nights on Mondays. So don't know how great it will be because I don't have any copies of the $54 land it wants me to have. But it'll be fun. Like, I'm not expecting to go to like an RCQ and like spike the whole thing or anything. It'll just be fun to go and play some Magic. And then just getting ready for the holidays and everything and the cold. The snow has started up here, and it's not gonna go away till probably like June. So just getting ready for that. Zeddy, what have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
I am still on my Lego bender since last time I was on here, but I'm building a lot of stuff in Lego. I'm currently working on the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Heck yeah.
Which you can build into either the first, second, or third movie's DeLorean. So I think I'm gonna go with the second movie because like the tires go like you can flip them, so it's like hovering and so.
Oh heck yeah,
that's really cool. And yeah, just been kind of doing that silly stuff, and have like a whole Star Wars room, and then I have like a castle area with like Lord of the Rings and the Lion's Night Castle, and such an expensive hobby, but I am really, really enjoying it. It's like therapeutic just to be playing with these blocks like I used to when I was a kid.
Heck yeah. Judge, what have you been doing outside Hearthstone?
I have been flying around Canada and the United States a heck of a lot. Part of the reason I haven't been playing as much, streaming as much and playing as much Hearthstone, still enough, but I was just in Seattle for the month of October. Which is where my wife lives. And for, those listening going like, well, why doesn't he live with his wife? I'm Canadian. She's American. I'm trying to live there. Process is getting close to being done. So we're constantly flying back and forth. So I was there for the month of October, and we did a lot of Halloween related activities, lots to do in the city of Seattle. And then I've been back here in Ontario for about 2 weeks. And then I'm going to be literally Tuesday, so 2 days, I'm going to be driving to Michigan, about an hour outside of Detroit, which is where her parents live, for Thanksgiving. So a lot of traveling and a lot of doing some stuff with the wife. As far as video games go, I've also been pretty busy. I just started playing a bit of the Bazaar that just came out. I maybe played like 3 days of it, and that's been pretty fun. I've been playing Fire Emblem Engage. So I borrowed that game from a friend of mine like a year ago, and then like didn't play it because I got busy with other games. And now he's like, "Hey, when are you going to give that back?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to play it. I swear. 1 sec." So I'm rocketing through that now. I was a huge fan of some of the early Fire Emblems. Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, and Radiant Dawn are two of my favorite games. So I don't think this one's quite as good, but it's still good strategy game and pretty fun. And then I've also been playing Stardew Valley a whole bunch. I don't even know how many hours are in a day and how I have time for all these games, but this is what I mean. All those Hearthstone hours turning into some other games in the last little bit. But I've been playing co-op Stardew. That's one of our like long distance activities with me and my wife until I'm allowed to live in the States. Is we've got a co-op Stardew farm that we binge quite often.
Fair enough. And congratulations on being able to celebrate Thanksgiving twice.
Yeah, I know. Forever. I will never stop. Like my whole life, it's going to be 2 Thanksgivings. So that's awesome.
And for me, as the ongoing saga goes on, my roof was leaking. We found out that it was actually a burst pipe that was leaking in. We're in the process of going through the claim right now, but as things never are simple, as we have the walls pulled apart, we found we now have some structural damage from a hole in the side of a roof that was letting water in, and has affected us a beam and some other things that we have to have construction people in here to kind of give us an evaluation of that, which is exactly what you want to hear when you're unemployed. But, you know, we're working.
Yeah, luckily that stuff's cheap, right, Tito?
Oh, yes. As long as I can pay for it in Canadian money. But
yeah, there you go.
But so I'm still waiting. I'm waiting on an offer for a job that I'm hoping to have. It sounds like it's good. They like me on the team. It's right up my alley. It's going to be difficult because I'm going to have to live a couple hours away during the week, which is going to be, you know, hard on my son and myself and all that. But you got to do what you got to do to, you know, pay the bills, keep the roof over the house, and hopefully fix the roof and all that. But unfortunately, while I'm supposed to be getting an offer, it's going to take possibly 2 to 3 months before I can start because of clearances and blah, blah, blah. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But at least it's moving in a positive direction while things are also going sideways. It's always good news and bad news all at once. Outside of that, like I said, I've been cataloging my Magic collection just to kind of, you know, I'm gonna probably sell it to, you know, pay for things. And it's been something a long time coming. Unfortunately, I have a lot of baseball cards too, but it was during the whole what they call the junk era, where everybody was collecting baseball cards from around 87 to 93, and those are all worthless. So I can't bring myself to get rid of them, but at the same point, they're not going to be worth anything either. Maybe I can use them to help rebuild my house. But other than that, you know, I mean, there's some negative stuff going on there, but I mean, I'm still enjoying things. Me and my son still playing Pokemon Go a lot, and, you know, doing what we can to clean up the yard and get ready for the winter. We had a couple of my chickens were killed. I think I mentioned that last week. I'm not sure if I did or not, but they were a coordinated attack on the coop by either coyotes or bobcats or something like that. So yeah, just a lot going on, but we're moving in the right direction. And all things considered, adding all that up, and I'm still, you know, here, and I'm still in a good mood, and I'm still enjoying playing Hearthstone. I'm still enjoying streaming and talking to good friends about a game I love. So yeah. But speaking about talking about things, we had some announcements this week that were very exciting. At least I think they were very exciting. They were exciting to me, and I'm going to start off with the first one. So this was the 30th anniversary of Warcraft, and considering that Hearthstone is usually lumped in with Warcraft because it used to be Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft, and then they stopped calling it that, and then they started calling that again or something, I don't know. But we got a lot of announcements, and one of the things we called last week, or at least I called last week, I was saying that we need to bring in StarCraft into Hearthstone, and I went off about it, and 2 days later we found out that's exactly what they're doing. You're welcome. I'm glad I was able to help. I hope you enjoy it. But we found out that the mini set, which is we're not even remotely close to it, but the mini set was announced to be StarCraft theme, and we're going to get Protoss and Zerg and whatever else, Terrans and whatnot, and it's going to be themed around StarCraft. So Zeddy, what are your thoughts about mixing IPs here?
I think it's really fun. Like I never played StarCraft. I'm not super familiar with it, but it just looks cool. Like it's all in the like still Blizzard, like, you know, realm of IPs and stuff. So I don't think it's like deviating much. Plus, Hearthstone's literally based on Warcraft, right? Like it's it's the whole idea is that you're like mixing a card game with another IP anyway. Like it's just, it makes sense to me, and I think it's fun. It would be cool to maybe do like a Hearthstone X Diablo at some point, maybe, or Overwatch. I think could be really fun. I don't think you want to get outside the Hearthstone world or the Blizzard world, but I don't know. I think it's cool, and we're getting hero cards, which is always fun, exciting, and terrifying because they're just pretty broken, but I don't know. I think it's just overall like all good stuff. Like I always try and be negative, right? But no, I got nothing negative about that. It just looks really sweet and fun, and hopefully they don't charge too much extra for it. It's going to be a bit more cards than normal. I think normally it's 38 cards or something, and it's going to be like 49. So we're going to get extra cards. So probably cost a bit more, but yeah, I'm psyched, and I'm sure the signatures and the cosmetics will be insane as well. Maybe
And
we
they-
get, like,
legendary hero, $60
Match we
StarCraft
get-
hero, maybe
we
coming in.
yeah, exactly. We get like a StarCraft portrait. That'd be pretty sick. So no, I'm really excited for it. Should be cool.
And if they run out of ideas, you can always get like, Hearthstone Candy Crush or Hearthstone Call of Duty and still stay within that ABK world. But also,
Dude, Hearthstone Halo, I'm down with
I was,
that.
that's what I was
I'd be
gonna say.
so
When it got to
down.
me, I was going to bring that up. Calling for the Master Chief hero.
I'd be all right with that one, to be honest.
You could get $100 out of the whales for a
Yeah.
Master Chief hero, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
what class would a Master Chief be though?
Paladin-ish kind of.
Maybe he'd be a tri-class card like some of like the StarCraft guys, because I could see him being classified as like a warrior hunter and a paladin.
Yeah.
Personally,
I could see that.
I don't know how they make all those classes work together, but they got good brains. I'm sure they could figure it out.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting. Like, I think it's a good idea. In fact, I've been saying it, obviously I said it last week, but I've been saying it all along that like, I don't understand why they would limit themselves to just Warcraft, because this space it's a card game. You can look what Magic's doing with, all the Marvel and Lord of the Rings and whatnot, the secret sets. Like, why not do that when you have the IPs for it? It does, as long as the cards they make are interesting and fun. Does it matter that it's not Sylvanas that's, the card we're playing or whatever like that? And if it happens to be Kerrigan or whatever like that, I think that's great. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad they're doing it. I hope it's received positively, because I want to see them do it more. So a lot of it's going to come down to how good the mini set is. If the mini set doesn't land, people are going to be associating that with being a bad crossover. And I'm worried about that. Doc, what's up?
I do think it's funny that Hearthstone got StarCraft before they got Monk class.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
It's not like a real issue. It's just a funny thought. Like, I'm sure Monk will come eventually at some point. But I'm very excited for StarCraft to be in Hearthstone. I haven't played a bunch of it. I've played a little, and then I played some Heroes of the Storm and played StarCraft characters in Heroes of the Storm. So, Blizzard has mixed IPs before, and I'm just excited. Give me more fun stuff to do.
I can almost guarantee you that we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but looking ahead, I don't think we're getting a new class next year just based on the theming. But so speaking of Heroes of the Storm, I thought that before I knew what it was, and I didn't really know anything about League of Legends or anything like that, or Dota or whatever like that, I thought it was going to be like a Super Smash Brothers, but in Blizzard. I thought that's what Heroes of the Storm was. I thought we were going to you'd be like Thrall versus Sylvanas, and you fight like that. And I thought that would have been awesome. I wish they would have done something like that. They still could eventually, but
I think they have an idea like that, and then it transformed into Overwatch? I think that was the origin story of Overwatch.
No, Titan was what Overwatch came out of, and Titan was kind of like the replacement of the new MMO, like their new thing, and they scrapped that and they just kind of brought it down to Overwatch. But Judge, what are your thoughts on StarCraft in Hearthstone?
So I had StarCraft 2 downloaded on my computer, 10, 12 years ago ish. And I would log in, I'd go to the extra mini games tab, and I would play this little mini game, and it was Mafia. And I never played StarCraft. I had Mafia that I enjoyed as a silly little mini game. I played a lot of it, but I never played a game of StarCraft 2, which is why did I have it? So I sometimes there would be some vague references to StarCraft within that mini game, and I'd be like, I bet you most people understand that, but I do not. To be fair, I never played World of Warcraft either before playing Hearthstone. So a completely blank slate on all of this. The only thing I know about StarCraft is that swarming really fast is called Zerg rushing. Only thing I ever knew. But honestly, regardless of whether you've played it, whether you've not, I would think if you've played it, there'll be some cool, hey, I played this and now this is happening and that's pretty cool kind of feelings. And if you didn't, it's cards, just like all the other cards. And, events are going to happen over time. And that's cool. I also think over how long Hearthstone has existed, you need to do fun crossovers like this to keep hype and keep interest. And so I think this makes a lot of sense. I know that my chat has been kind of, particularly talking about the Magic changes with Marvel, kind of divided. Like some people are like, oh, I hate how it's delving into some area and completely different. That's not what Magic really started about. And I could see some people maybe saying the same thing about Hearthstone, but I think that kind of idea is maybe a little, I don't know. I don't know like what the correct word is to like be completely nice about it, and maybe naive, I guess. Like it's a, you got to do stuff like this. It's fun, it's interesting, and I think both things on both games are a good idea and pretty fun.
The word antiquated comes to mind. Maybe that's the word.
Sure.
Like it's like kind of like an old, you got to bring things, especially. Yeah.
It's okay to feel like, oh man, I remember, you have the nostalgia of the good old days of Magic or the good old days of Hearthstone where it was just the bare minimum. You're playing your Yeti or whatever. But like, we're not that's not the game anymore. Mm-hmm. So like, it's okay to look fondly at that. But like, we're looking to make big and exciting stuff nowadays, and crossovers are cool and fun and do that.
And it helps get new people into the game. Like,
yes,
so like I said, I play a lot of Commander, which people have feelings about that in general anyways. But I think the Universes Beyond and Magic is such a good thing because it's getting these people that have never been interested in Magic before into Magic, like with Lord of the Rings or Fallout or like SpongeBob, Marvel, Spider-Man. Like, it just, these big Final Fantasy, like these big IPs and these other things will get other people who have maybe heard of the thing before or not at all interested in Hearthstone or interested into Magic. So at the end of the day, like, Blizzard's a company and capitalism stuff, shareholders, whatever. But doing a crossover like this grows the population of the community, and more people playing the game is good for the game.
Fair enough. So we also got some other news. We learned about the next 3 expansions. So basically all of 2025, which is why we know there's going to be no Monk, because they've given us the theming, and Monk would not make any sense in any of these. So the first one is Into the Emerald Dream, and that will be in April-ish, right? And then we have The Shrouded City, which is the Return to Ungaro. It's their first sequel. We need to all adapt to that. And then we have The Heroes of Time, which is apparently Toki versus Murazan or something like that. So let's start off. Let's talk about, before we get into any of this, what are your guys' thoughts? Zeddy, what do you think about the fact that we know all this ahead of time? Do you think that this is good? Or do you think, would you rather like have that kind of hype later on down the line when it's time to have the hype like we've always done?
I don't think they should have revealed it. Like, it just doesn't do anything now, and it just ruins the excitement a bit of it later. We'll get cards and stuff, and they'll make it better. But this, to me, felt like we're doing a Warcraft thing. We want you a part of it, and we need you to fill this much time. And they don't have a lot of like new stuff coming, so we're gonna reveal the expansions a bit earlier than we normally would. Like, we didn't get any actual cards, or it just felt like they had to throw something together, and the arena revamp wasn't going to be quite sexy enough, so they threw that in there. I think the StarCraft thing makes sense because that's a big deal, first crossover and all that, but I don't know. I don't like knowing the sets early. Take some of the fun, and I like when they would show the teasers and you'd get people guessing, and it's just a lot to talk about and speculate on rather than just, well, it's going to be this, and now we even know specific characters that'll be there, and I don't know, take some of the fun and the mystery out of it for me. I don't get super excited about like the thing. Like, I don't know. I don't want to speculate for like a year on what this Murazan thing's going to be like, or the time one, right? I don't know. I personally would have preferred not to know, but they had to fill the time, right? I'm assuming that's why, because normally they would never outline this. So that's my theory, at least.
Maybe. I mean, they have things they could have talked about, right? Like, so as far as we know, they could have talked about pets. They could have talked about dynamic boards. They could have talked about other things, but this is what they chose to do. And I feel like this kind of goes along with what we saw at BlizzCon last year with Warcraft, where they said, hey, by the way, here are the next 3 WoW expansions. We have, the thing. So I think maybe that's kind of been a mandate for the Blizzard.
I just felt they were doing that for Warcraft because the morale and frustration with the game was at such a high. They wanted to like put people like, look, we're going to be doing this. Like, you can get excited about this. Stop. And we got this. They brought in that guy that I don't know that I don't play World of Warcraft or anything, but they brought in that guy to like lead the direction of the story. And I thought that was more of, they did that just to like try and quell some fears and nervousness about the future of the franchise. But maybe I just misinterpreted. I don't know. But yeah, maybe it is more of a streamlined thing. We'll get that going forward. It's not like I'm saying it's a bad thing. I would have preferred not to. I just find it less exciting, if that makes sense. No. I like to not know and them tease us and we speculate and all that stuff.
I completely agree. I don't want to know until it's like, hey, by the way, it's the Emerald Dream, and now let's talk about it. How about yourself, Judge? What are your thoughts on them telling us all this stuff ahead of time?
So just personally, I'm not really like caring a whole ton one way or the other, but like it's about the community and you know what I think the community will think of it too. And it's like Zeddy said, I know some huge Reddit posts I've seen are like big speculations on like, well, we've seen this and we've seen this. That makes me think that this actually is probably going to happen next, and guesses at the next expansion. And that's really cool. On the other hand, I guess you could still kind of get some of that with like, okay, here's what's happening in the Emerald Dream. We know the Shrouded City's coming. Could this is actually maybe a hint at this in the Shrouded City, that it might be a little more opaque if you don't know what it is. They could still hide some stuff, even with you knowing what expansions are coming out. So like from that angle, depends how I guess they approach what details they reveal about those expansions over time. I know that they release a roadmap annually, right? Like they have a roadmap of this year, and it does make me wonder.
Actually, they did this year.
Here we go.
First time this year they actually didn't. It was like the first year they had no roadmap at all.
Yeah, so this is kind of what I'm wondering, if this like was a decision because they wanted people to know the details for the year to get them hyped, or whether it was to maybe provide a bit more substance where they might be lacking some from prior years, that they had more things going on. It's like you said, there is some cool stuff coming up. Like pets, I think, has been called for ever since the conception of the game, and big arena changes and stuff. But sometimes when you're thinking about like the perception of the community, even if you have like one or two bigger things that are going to take you a lot of time, it might seem like it's a lot less than if you have like 2 or 3 things per expansion coming and stuff like that, like they've had some years. So I don't know. I guess it's just a choice on what they think the community is going to perceive when they announce this stuff. And I'm kind of indifferent on it personally. I think it is fun, like Zeddy said, to kind of guess what's coming, but I think they still have an opportunity to make fun stuff around that, even though they've announced this.
I'm not going to be excited until we get player housing. Just kidding. But I would like them to start doing things like, guilds or some kind of way to, form communities inside the game itself. I think that could be interesting and fun, but I don't know where that kind of thing would be on their radar. Doc, what do you think about the early announcements?
I mean, I think it's cool. It's something they've never done before, which I always like it when they try to do something new. I play Magic. Magic does this every year, and they do it for like the next year and a half, more or less. But like everyone else has said, it's so much fun to get the 17 pixel image picture and then have to guess what the expansion is off of that. I don't know. It takes away a little bit of the mystery, which is like such a fun community thing. And I was right for the first time ever with guessing an expansion for Great Beyond. And I hope that maybe this is like a one-time thing, and then next year they go back to just sharing the small image, because the guessing is just such a fun part of the community. And like in Discords, like trying to have conversations and like brainstorm with people who could have like a big vast like World of Warcraft knowledge base, and like try to figure out what it could be based off of WoW stuff. I don't know. It's different. It's new. Like it's okay. I probably would have felt the same way if they just showed us the 3 teasers instead of giving us the titles.
That's fair. So the like you said, the titles are Into the Emerald Dream, The Shrouded City, The Heroes of Time. I never understood the obsession with the Emerald Dream. People are always super excited about it, and in Warcraft, and we had a raid that went into the Emerald Dream, which was very kind of It was like the first raid of the expansion. It was fine. It wasn't super interesting as far as anything, but people always love the Emerald Dream. It's always like this big deal. So Hearthstone was bound to do it eventually. But Doc, I think you must be excited to have Ungoro back.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's the one that's the thing that like is the most like frustration point, I guess, even though it's not super frustrating, is the excitement I would have had with like seeing the image and then like 3 or 4 weeks before the set actually came out, like learning what the set is for the return of my favorite expansion of all time would have been so much greater than it just being blam, here's everything. So like, yes, I think this is a cool idea. I am happy to know we're going back to Ungoro, but personally for like the Ungoro announcement, like I would have 100% preferred the traditional like format of previewing everything, but can't wait to play some big old beastie dinos.
And I think they're being a little disingenuous saying that this is the first sequel, because didn't we had Icecrown Citadel and the Wrath of Lich King or whatever? We had like those kind of felt like there was a sequel to each other, right? I mean, one, we got the Death Knight, but the same zone, same kind of thing.
We also had the Return of Naxxramas mini set.
Fair.
Oh yeah, right. Nax came out. That was great.
Yeah.
Nax out, baby.
Out again. Yeah.
But Zeddy, what are your thoughts on that? So we already talked about your thoughts about getting the themes. What are your thoughts on the themes?
I'm insanely better than this year's. This year was awful for themes. Like Whizbang and Perils, I just thought were just duds. I really love the Great Dark Beyond, but I'm glad that they seem to have taken some of the feedback and have stepped up the like all the themes look really interesting and fun, and Ungoro is also like, I mean, it's like it's most people's favorites that have played the game. It's like that or Old Gods if you're like a Hearthstone boomer. And I'm excited for it. I'm scared that we're gonna get quests again and they're gonna be even more insane. But yeah, I'm excited for pretty much all the set. I think even like the time one with like Toki and Murzon might actually interest me more than anything, just for I don't know what you could do with that. There could be a lot of like you could do a lot of interesting mechanics for that set. Like that just feels like a set that's tailored for like some different style of card designs that we haven't seen before. But yeah, no, overall I think it looks really good, and it's hard not to be an improvement after this year, which I thought really, I don't know, just felt off this year for themes. Like just felt off, except for Great Dark Beyond. I think it's one of the best we've ever had. So no complaints of that. Just Perils. I gotta say, Perils is like the worst themed expansion they've ever made, because I don't know what the hell the point of it was. Like you had vacations with no real perils, and it just felt off. You had the tourists, I guess. I don't know. Just never hit at home. I can't see myself longing and thinking back to that set of like nostalgia for anything. I don't know. We'll see, I guess, in a few years.
I liked Perils.
Yeah.
I liked Perils, and I liked Whizbang. And the reason why I liked Whizbang was because and I'm not saying I liked all the cards or how maybe the sets played out, but I like the themes, because like Whizbang was kind of like, hey, it's our 10-year anniversary. We're gonna bring back a lot of the cards had kind of like callbacks to cards that existed in the past, but took new twists on them. And it was kind of, I got that. And then Perils, like, you know, like you said, traveling to different classes to try them out and to kind of mix them, which I think was interesting. But I also think it was kind of a dipping their toe into multi-class Hearthstone, which is maybe like, well, let's see how this plays out and see maybe how we can do more of that in the future. So I wasn't down on it as much. I really liked like the year before a lot. Like I love the music theme one. That was I thought that really hit the mark as far as like a Hearthstone theme set, where it's like you had all the different each class had a different musical genre, and for streaming I made a different playlist for each of the classes. So it's like, you know, if I was going to play that class, I could play the playlist. I had the music that went along with the theming of the set. I really liked it. But in these sets right here, none of them have the whimsy to it that we've had recently, right? This is like the Emerald Dream, the Shrouded City, the Heroes of Time. And maybe the Heroes of Time has that opportunity to be a little more whimsical, but the rest of them, not they're going to have Hearthstone silliness, but the theming themselves is more, I think, more serious than we've had in general. Judge, what are your thoughts on the actual themes themselves?
So just going back to like the last couple themes we had, because I think like sometimes as just like mainly an arena player, your views on a few things are just a little different. Because like, for example, with Perils in Paradise in arena, we didn't get to play with tourist cards. We didn't get a new keyword. So like that in itself kind of just takes a little bit away from that set if you only play arena, right? So it's like a little bit different from that vein. Instead, we got 4 months of dual class, but with old keywords, which I think is, so inherently worse for an arena player. Now, I don't think the expectation from Blizzard is that you are just an arena player, right? You'll play standard, maybe you'll play a couple arenas here and there is kind of like the basic. So just a little bit unique to arena players only. And Gigantify and Miniaturize were keywords that kind of were extraordinarily warping in arena, as well as most of those cards were honestly completely good cards without the keyword. So I guess that gets a little bit away from the theme and more from just the actual cards and the actual sets itself. But like, I don't know, I was kind of ready to move on from those two. And it's true. Zeddy was saying there's no Perils in Paradise. I'm wondering if it's still not too late for maybe a ginormous space invasion, aliens attack Marin's resort. That could be, there we go. Problem solved, right? No issue. As far as the ones coming up, I think that they play on a lot of favorites from a lot of people. I know Angoro was also absolutely one of my favorites, and I think a lot of people's. A lot of fun cards. I, for one, am very excited to draft a mediocre 5-mana 5/5 Elise and force it, because I know it's going to be a fun card when it comes out, whatever it may be. So that'll be great. Heroes of Time. I mean, anything with Toki, and also Chromie is another one that's appeared a few times, both in like solo adventures and in cards that everything about has been super fun. So I'm very excited for those. The Emerald Dream's also a favorite. And I like, again, the arena bias of seeing into the Emerald Dream and then thinking of the 3 straight years of Ysera Unleashed breaking my game over and over and over again. It's specifically, right? Standard players don't get this. Ysera Unleashed was like just an unbeatable card for years. And when someone drafted it, they played it, it was game over. And so like a little bit of bias there, but it's a fun, I think it's a fun theme, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. Maybe there's a new Ysera coming in to devastate my runs.
Well, there's probably going to be some new Bran and Reno and whatnot, right? Because if we have Elise and all that, the League of Explorers are coming back again, probably, right? I guess we'll see. We already know Elise is there. But so real quick question before we move this question over to Doc. If you were to incorporate tourists into Arena during the last few months, how would you have done it?
Okay, so that's a good question. And I mean, the easy answer, I think, is like the answer I would like. Now, I think the issue here is it makes for like an absurdly complicated method for like the developers to institute into a draft. But we do have something kind of similar where you start a draft, and then when you get a certain card, it changes what you can be offered. And that is from the Death Knight rune system. Because the Death Knight rune system works where you can get offered a rune card, and once you take that, you can no longer draft any other rune card that would break the rules of a normal standard deck. So once you draft your first triple Frost, you will never get offered an Unholy or a Blood. So I was kind of hoping for something like that. I'm sure, it's not the exact same thing. You're adding cards to the pool. I'm sure it's, complicated. It would take resources that we already know Blizzard is not have an abundance of to get done. But I would have loved it if when you drafted a tourist, if that would have opened up the set of the other class from, the set to the draft, where you could just see them like dual class. You could see a regular, paladin, and then a mage card or whatever it is, right? Just at any point in the draft. Maybe you take a tourist and you get unlucky, you don't see one. but I just love it if it opened up that possibility. But I understand it would have been complicated.
That's fair. And to be clear, Blizzard, if they wanted to, could afford to pay for having the resources that the Hearthstone team desperately needs. They just choose not to. So we love Team 5.
Yes, and we all know this. The four of us all know this and know, that there's hardworking people there doing a great job. There's just not enough of them, right? There's just not enough of them. Like we said, big corporation stuff, and you got to do the best you can within the bounds that you have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Doc, what are your thoughts on the theming of these sets?
I mean, I think that they're great. I just, as much as I love Ungoro, since it has come out, the League of Explorer heroes have been reprinted so many times in so many different variations. I am so sick of them, and I don't want them back like in a year. Like, we still have all of them. Reno is the nightmare card right now, and we're probably going to get them reprinted in the next 6-7 months. I just
devil's advocate on that. I doubt it, because if you remember, Ungoro did have a lease, and that was it.
Yeah,
it was just the pack lease, and
that is true.
I would think there's a good chance it would just be a lease again.
Maybe we get another Hemet, another 6-mana 6/6 Hemet that does something weird.
Ooh,
see, Hemet would. So the thing is Hearthstone has a bunch of cool characters, and I understand the League of Explorers are really popular and like Hearthstone original characters, and so they try to have them everywhere as possible. But there's other cool characters that Hearthstone has made before or borrowed from WoW, whatever. The volume that the League of Explorers has been reprinted is just upsets me for some reason. I just want them to use other characters. Heroes of Time.
Finja back.
Finja would be so fun. Give me some Murloc shenanigans.
Yeah.
Give me.
I think they'd probably make it stronger. I think nowadays Finja might be a smidgen stronger than the current Finja. Just a tad.
Yeah. Heroes of Time, I'm super excited for, because maybe Murazond is going through and messing up the Hearthstone timeline, and that's what Toki and Chromie are trying to fix. And I really hope it's a timeline where Murazond got rid of the League of Explorers. But it's such a perfect idea to hit back fun moments, whether it be through the main set or mini set or dungeon runs of previous points in Hearthstone history, because it's Heroes of Time and the mini set's the End of Time. So they have all of Hearthstone's sets and or beyond or before to play with. I think that the theming's really good. I just don't want more League of Explorers reprints for a while, please.
Well, I have some bad news for you, Doc. If they did give us Murazond and trying to kill the League of Explorers, that would be a guarantee that they would be in the mini set. So, because that's just how those things kind of work. And I'm actually okay if they reprint them. I get that you want to bring them back, but I think that we're all kind of at the end of Reno right now. So if they brought back Reno, he'd have to be different. He'd have to be give us Reno the Dragon. And something along those lines, and not necessarily be as warping as he is, and maybe, I don't know, maybe drunk Reno or something. I don't know.
Yeah, make him bad, please. Don't make him busted. He's just been good for so long in every version.
Print Reno and just make him unplayable garbage and never touch him. Yeah.
Make Elise better. I feel like Elise has been one of the most mid-average of all of them.
That's her thing. Mediocrity every time. That's just her thing.
I mean, I guess she is a 5-mana 5/5. Yeah. But I don't know. Brand's been really good and had been broken. Reno's been really broken. Make Finley better or some. I mean, I don't know. The shuffle.
Sea Guide was kind of put into a ton, just a little bit more passively good.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm excited. I just have my feelings, and I need to get over them because they're not going to listen to me, because I am the one person who dislikes the League of Explorers now.
It's I can just see a Reddit post and just everyone's talking about the League of Explorers, and you're just the one guy death to the League, and everyone's ignoring them and talking about their favorite heroes.
Yeah, the doctor just saying, no, we'll listen to you when you hit Legend.
Yeah.
Got him.
Got him. Obviously kidding. All right, so there's that. We also we get some major arena updates. I'm going to read the blog post right here, and then Judge, I want you to explain to me what the heck is happening.
Sure.
So major arena updates. Then, for the first time in 10 years, arena mode is getting a major overhaul. With that update, we were working two kinds of arena to choose from. Normal arena will be shorter form, allowing you to complete your runs more quickly. Competitive arena players will be able to play in the higher stakes underground arena with longer runs and a new feature, redraft on loss. Redraft on loss means that after you lose, you'll have the option to redraft cards out of your deck and keep your run alive, probably for extra money. Ratings will also be I added that part, sorry. Ratings will also be added to both normal and underground arena. Normal skills-based matchmaking will be used for normal arena. Underground arena throws caution to the wind and lets you face off against opponents of all skill levels. The major arena revamp is coming the first half of next year. Look out for more details about this update closer to when it goes live. So, what are we talking about here, Judge?
Okay, so looks like there are, of course, going to be two different like modes of arena, and you could kind of maybe view them as maybe more like casual and ranked, although I don't think we have any information on what any sort of buy-ins or reward structure will be at this point, which is going to be pretty extremely important. So instead, the underground arena, the competitive mode, looks like it's going to be very similar to what we have now. And they're making the normal mode just like a much more approachable for the average player, shorter runs. MMR matchmaking alongside your record matchmaking is enormous and will have a huge impact for newer players or maybe just average players. It's going to be a lot more approachable. I think a thing right now with Arena, after all these years, people who are still playing it with the current reward structure that hasn't changed in a decade, are generally people who are good enough to be able to afford to play a lot. You play a lot, you get better. It's this cycle, and Arena is filled with really, really strong Arena players to the point where, it's very intimidating for even strong standard players come in and see what's going on there and just go, what in the hell is going on here? Because it's just a lot of really strong decks. I mean, there's other reasons for that as well, but it's a lot of good players. So the MMR matchmaking will help in the normal mode for not just getting destroyed all the time by amazing players, right? Because if you're not looking to be competitive, if you're just looking to play some Arena, maybe even out your rewards with some gold a pack, or I don't know what the reward structure is going to be. And you might get obliterated the first couple runs, but then you're going to play other people who got obliterated and you're going to have more fair matches. And that I think is going to be very good for that demographic of players. Now, if this were the only, mode for the great players, it would be really, really terrible because now you're winning all your games. You're getting this high MMR and you're playing one-on-one against other players of similar MMR. And with how much, RNG there is in your, draft, you have a good deck or a bad deck, even just like going first, going second, that kind of stuff will be way, way more important if you're having an exact same MMR matchup. Guys who are in the top 10 on the leaderboard will just be playing each other. Whoever, got a luckier draft will end up winning most of the time. And that takes away a lot of the interesting stuff where some of the better players can win with a weaker deck against players who might even still be good, but just don't quite have the strategy. So I think this is very good that they do have the two separate modes because the high MMR players don't have to fall victim to the MMR matchmaking that the casual players can enjoy and not have to match into those top players. So I think that separation is really good. So for the underground, obviously the main difference is going to be this new redraft on loss. I don't know how long or how short these runs are going to be. I think with the normal version, like they just did that Brawliseum where it was 6 and 3. I'm kind of wondering. Yeah.
5 and 2.
Is that publicly known? Is that something we know?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 5 and 2. I think, the Brawliseum was probably a test for maybe matchmaking in that. So 5 and 2, very short, right? Very short, 2 losses. And, much, much less serious. I mean, with shorter runs, you're going to be more prone to RNG stuff too. So that's fine. But the redraft on loss, I had a bunch of questions on, and I don't know how much, Zeddy, I got to read more. Do we know what exactly that means? It's kind of like a lot of good guesses and pretty confident.
They've made it public. Redraft on loss means after your first loss, you get to draft 5 more cards, and then you can choose to swap them in or out. If you don't like them more than the cards you already have, you can just not swap it. And it's included in the run, and you don't pay anything extra. You can't pay for an extra redraft. So you have your one.
That's good.
You have your one entrance fee, and that's it.
Yeah. So that's good. So 5 new cards potentially, and I think this opens up from the competitive mode both some good things and some potentially less good things for competitive players. The good thing is you don't have to play your garbage deck all the way through if you're competitive. Like sometimes I even win with these garbage decks and go like maybe 5 wins, but it's just like, oh, I do not want to be playing this deck anymore. And you get to make your last deck, more interesting, better, and that's cool. The perhaps less good thing from a competitive standpoint in this is that like you go 0-1 with not a very good deck. Your opponent goes 0-1 with not a very good deck. Your 5 redrafted cards is a low roll and your opponent's is a high roll. And now all of a sudden what might have been an even match is now lopsided, which will cascade you to 0-2. It's kind of like the same effect as going 1-2 in duels when duels was out, and then your opponent high rolls the nuts off their second treasure. And it's like, okay, well, your run is over, even though you both went 1-2, just due to that RNG. So I think that will be a factor, run to run. It should even out over the long term, like things do. But some good things and some bad things on that.
All right, before I get to my thoughts, Zeddy, what are your thoughts on all this?
I don't know. I'm so skeptical. I'm so pessimistic with the way the modes have been dealt with since Battlegrounds launched that Arena was not broken and they're trying to fix it, which is just concerning because what's the motive for trying to fix something that's not broken? It's to monetize it, and I until I see how much it's going to cost or if they're hiding anything, we just know vague details, right? There's some specifics that have been thrown around, but the most important
the reward structure, the buy-in and the reward structure is going to be huge,
which is like the most important part, which they haven't mentioned. And I don't have much confidence in the current direction. Like Twist has been the most laughably horrible mismanaged mode I have ever seen. They deleted duels after just abandoning when it was doing pretty well. They just gutted the bucket system, and then the people stopped caring because the buckets were worse and they weren't adding content. Like, see, the mode's not doing great because we destroyed what was doing well with it. It's a weird thing, and until I see all the details, I can't get excited for it. I want to be optimistic, and it's also it's my favorite mode in Hearthstone. It's what got me into Hearthstone. It's my first mode I played. I followed Crip. That's how I got into streaming, was like modding for him and being so involved in Crip's community. And it's like Arena is like near and dear to my heart. And if they're using it as an excuse just to try and squeeze more dollars out, I'm going to be very, very, very upset because it ain't broke, right? It's like it ain't broke, but we're fixing it. That's not the term you're not supposed to do it that way. So
yeah, another thing. I was just going to say another thing too is like you're right. It's like Arena, and people like Arena when it's maintained. The main things that need to be done are not a total revamp necessarily. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what they come up with. But if we're going to go another 6 months after this comes out without any sort of balance changes, like that is a very necessary step to making this work, is to then start maintaining it, because we haven't seen, like I said, understandably maybe. We haven't seen any maintenance really on it in the last half a year. Assuming that that's a couple people working as their ass off to get it ready for a release on time. Let's just hope that they're still allowed to, work on Arena for however long. People are, being told they have to do different things. Sometimes you get modes, departments changing size and stuff. We really need to have the attention to the mode after this goes live, or it can't work as well. And we haven't seen that in the last bit.
But
They'll
it's
give
the
it
same.
a twist treatment and give it off seasons.
Yeah.
It's
the
more
problem is-
exciting when you can't play it. It's like,
The,
what?
the problem is, like, we know that Sage put in a lot of the effort into the revamps of the arena by having the the treasures, having the legendary first and all that, one legendary first and all that. But we also know that he was the set lead on Perils in Paradise. So I don't think you have dedicated people to arena. You have people that do arena and they have their job, and also you're also on the arena team, or you also focus.
I think Cora works on it a bit too. Like, and we all know she's very busy with all the other
that's the
stuff
thing.
going on.
That's the thing, is how much time is there available to pull this off after it's released for the developers? And it really depends too, because they'll have priorities on stuff. Will this be a higher priority after like a major change? Maybe at first. Will it continue to be? It's really tough to say after all we've seen from other updates and other modes.
And
I did want to say I didn't get to say the thing I am. If it does work, I do think this is an improvement over the current thing, because I can't recommend to newer players to play Arena right now. I never do anymore. I used to kind of be able to. I can't anymore. But if the system that they're pitching, it works the way it is, the basic Arena will be great for newer players. They're not going to get dunked on all the time, and they can go into probably a lower risk system too. So, and then the underground thing could be a bit more of a challenge or more fun to redraft. And if executed, it actually could be a strict improvement. It's just the execution I'm super concerned about, because their track record's terrible lately, like really bad with everything since Battlegrounds. And Battlegrounds news, not amazing all the time either. So, yeah.
And that's fair. And I think a lot of the attention to all the other modes has gone downhill since Matt London has been on the team. And I don't know how you feel about Matt London, but he was the keeper of the alternate modes, and now they never replaced him. So
Duels died when Atish left the team, to be fair. But Matt kind of held the he was on the solo adventure, although I didn't really like the book Heroes or Mercs that much. But
I liked the stories on those. I liked the gameplay was whatever, but I did like the lore and the stories they put into those.
I don't really care for the lore, so it was the gameplay of it was just
The problem I had with the lore, I had problem with the lore and stories. I didn't have a problem with the stories they told. It just felt like they told the same stories 14 different times in 14 different ways. It was like every time it's like, Kazakhstan, he stole the crystals and these guys are there. And by the way, Tamsin's evil and we had the same story. There was it was the same story multiple times when they could have.
There was definitely overlap. There might have even been the same fight a bunch of times, right? In different the exact same battle. Yeah.
So there was a lot of opportunity there to expand and make things interesting, and I would have been fine with all of that, but it was the same story over and over again. But that's anyway. So I have two things. So with Arena, there's two things I always want, and I'm never going to see. Well, three things. One, Judge is supposed to help me get to 12 wins. We had a co-op stream. He only got me to 7. And that was my high already. So
I got to stay on top. I got to keep you below me. I gotta ceiling effect you down. Maybe I'll get you a 9 or a 10 next time.
That sounds good. We definitely have to have one of those nights. That was a lot of fun.
For sure.
Two, I would love to see some sort of King of the Hill mode where it's it doesn't stop at 12. You keep winning. Once you get to 12, you keep winning with that deck until someone knocks you off. And then that deck becomes the King of the Hill. Some sort of way to have this ladder that you take this deck and you submit it. And if you have you could have the nuts and just keep winning and winning and winning and winning until someone knocks you off, and then use that in some kind of ranking system. I think that would be kind of interesting, where it's just you had the ultimate deck and who's going to beat you. And then just
I think they just call that the barcode jail nowadays,
But with Arena, the thing I really wish they just did was do it like a limited format, where you're presented with 5 cards from a pack. You pick one. Then you're presented with 4 cards from a pack. You pick one. Not classes, not class packs, anything. Hey, here's a rogue card. Here's a druid card. Here's a not dual class Arena. Just here's a pack. Pick one of the cards. then it goes 4, 3, 2, 1. So the fifth one, you're just giving the card whatever it is, even if it's not going to be useful for you. And then you do that 6 times or whatever it is, and you build your deck from that. Or maybe you get more packs, so that way you can, maybe you get 35 cards and you build a deck of 30 out of those or something like that. Like, I think like Arena has that opportunity to, like, why are you limiting the class right there when you can just have the chaos of having, just like you do in Magic, where you have like this kind of whatever you can throw together, whether it doesn't matter what the class is. Would you like that, Judge, or would that be kind of dumb?
Oh no, that sounds great. See, I think like stuff like that fires me up, and I think that there's no end to the amount of creativity you could make into some of these drafts. Even just like you say, like the picking one and passing it along, like there could be even like lobbies of X amount of players, and then you're passing them around. I know I don't play Magic, but I know there's something like that's very similar to what they do in Magic. Sometimes things that get a little bit too crazy maybe are best kept to shorter events, because after a bit too long, you'll see the imbalances of doing something like this coming into play. If they go, Hearthstone's definitely known to, not be shy on making insane effects, insane cards, insane stuff like that. Praise Yogg Saron is a great example of something like that, right? Just not afraid to go as far as possible. So like keeping those, maybe, even just doing some like 2-week events where you can do stuff like that would be super, super cool. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Again, lack of resources, we're not getting updates at this point, but in a perfect world, stuff like that I think would be excellent.
What do you think, Zeddy? Would you like those modes? Or do you have any modes that you'd want to see?
No, I'm always down for just like experimenting with stuff. I don't have anything in specific. It makes me think of like the fact that we've had Tavern Brawl for like forever, and we still haven't had a brawl where you can play every class in your deck or something, right? Like we haven't even taken advantage of that in a silly 1-week throwaway mode. They don't even do new Tavern Brawls like almost ever. It's
not since Joe left.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, there's so many cool things you could do that just that'd be almost like, people pitch forever. Why not have like a sandbox mode, like sandbox tournament thing where you can set these things up yourself if they don't want to set it up? But
so beautiful, a sandbox tournament mode. I can only in my dreams, so perfect. Yeah.
But it's definitely. I mean, it's been over 10 years. I don't think that's going to become a reality, and we were supposed to get tournament mode in 2018. It's been 6 years, and
so it's probably soon then. Probably soon then.
Something like that. Oh man.
Hey Doc, you got any thoughts on the Arena situation before we move on?
I think they're good changes. It'll be interesting to see how it actually plays out. My only gripe with Arena is you get to pick these. Granted, and I understand the acquisition's different, but you draft these cards, and if this is the only mode you play and you don't play standard, you don't like end up earning these cards other than just getting like the rewards at the end. Like, I understand, but like in Magic, when you draft in Magic Gathering Arena, the cards you draft you keep for your collection. You don't like, and then the rewards are on top of whatever you draft. I know Hearthstone can never do that because the acquisition for the games is different and the card pools are different. But that's just like the one thing I have always wish Arena would do is give you the cards you draft. Because sometimes like I can draft a card that I've never opened and I don't necessarily want to spend 1,600 dust to craft it,
It'd be like if they gave you at the end of your run like a selection of some of the cards that you had, like almost like Discover, like 3 cards pop up that you had in your draft, and you get to pick one of them to add to your collection, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love that.
Or what if you could just like spend like 10 times the amount of gold and you would just keep the stuff, right? Like,
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Or if they really wanted to, get people into Arena, just one of your prizes could be a signature card. Like, you have a depending on how many wins you get, you have X number of chance to get one of your reward cards be a signature. And a lot of people can't afford to just buy the packs for signatures, but they'll spend their gold to do Arena to get the signature they want and whatever. So I don't know, maybe there's opportunities there, but overall, I think that it's good that they're making some changes. It's good that they're making some adjustments. Hopefully it's not just all for greed. Hopefully it's not just the marketing department or the overlord saying you need to make more money with Arena, make it happen, and them having to do things to do that. And it's more just let's refresh the mode because it's been 10 years. We need to do some new things. And hopefully like I said, just like you said, I like them doing different things. People get mad when like, oh, we didn't like anomalies. Well, yeah, but they tried something really interesting and new and maybe it didn't land, but I want them to continue to try to expand the envelope for the sake of doing fun things and making the game more interesting. And I hope they continue to do that. And I hope this Arena thing is successful. So I had a next section for feelings about things. We've already talked about a couple of them. We've already talked about our feelings about knowing the themes, how we feel about knowing the stuff ahead of time. We already talked about how we feel about other Blizzard IPs coming in, or maybe outside IPs coming into Hearthstone. But Zeddy, what are your thoughts on the current meta right now? It's been almost 2 weeks. So it'll be 2 weeks when this releases. We'll have our balance patch in the future. What are your thoughts on the meta?
Not really enjoying it in standard. I like the new set. I want to play the new cards. I'm playing it like top 500 legend, and all I face is big spell mage. I face cycle OTK rogue. I face spell damage. It's like all the old stuff, just and murdering you before you can even do anything. You could like launch a starship, or the only starship deck I've got to work is like Death Knight. That's about it. And I had fun with the Asteroid Shaman you mentioned earlier. I made a video on it. It's done really well. But I just feel like the power level of Hearthstone is so stupid right now, or too much, that I feel like we need to like this expansion feels like it's at the right power level for what Hearthstone should be to me. You could do like really crazy stuff with these cards. You just need a bit of time. And you don't have that right now. At least in my meta that I'm playing, I don't have time to do any of this stuff. I just die. So I don't know. I just hope things get scaled back a bit so we can actually have fun with a really cool expansion. I really like this set. Only Quasar stands out to me as just like, what were they thinking? Like, it makes no sense in the context of this set to create this like solitaire simulator card spam thing in a set about launching starships or playing Draenei. It's all board based, and then you have Quasar, which you never be board based with that card. But I think it'll be really telling to see what the balance patch is like, because I think if they want the power level to come down to where the set is, I could get really excited for it. But if they're like, no, we need to bump the setup to where we're at, I don't know if that's even possible. And I hope that's not really the way they go. But yeah, I'd love to see like just everything kind of get nuked that's good forever right now. And that includes Reno, which isn't super good, because if you dial everything else back, then Reno just poofs everything, and then you're just gonna be upset about that. So just screw it. Reno's rotating soon anyways. Just get rid of it for a bit, and then maybe we can have a new meta game and see if that's exciting and fun. I just want a new meta game. It's too much of the same crap, and it's been this way for a while. So
on the Quasar Rogue though, like, yeah, I agree with you. It sets up a solitaire kind of thing, but I've seen a whole lot less. I mean, it was popular for the first week, but it wasn't good. And
it's
the deck
still
hasn't really
the
refined.
Third most played deck in all of Hearthstone right now.
Is it really? I haven't, like, my last 50 games or so, I think I've seen one.
Yeah, 18% is Elemental Mage, 7% Big Spell Mage, 6% Quasar Rogue. At least according to HS Replay.
Sure, but 6% isn't bad for any deck. Like, if you see a deck 6% of the time, that's
but if it's 6% of a deck that makes the average player just want to quit, that's a problem.
Sorry, Zeddy, go ahead.
It's that style of deck makes people quit, and it just takes a one game to make you face that, and and they get that high roll, and I don't want to play anymore. Like, if you look at Baby Bear, she tweeted today, I came back for the first time in a while, and this was my first game, and it was just her dying on turn 5 to Quasar.
The Pheno clip is iconic.
Yeah.
Even if you don't face it a ton, it's going to stand out infinitely more than any other deck where you just normally lose to, because it's not Hearthstone. That's not what this game is supposed to be about at all. and it just stands out like a sore thumb when you lose to it. That's why I was so upset about it in theory crafting. Is like, this is not Hearthstone. This is just dumb. Like, this should be a card for a solo adventure, not for the ladder. Because if it's ever good, people will it's just going to drive people away. And even though it's not good, it's still doing that, which is insane. It's having that effect that it's still the most complained about card, and it sucks. That's when you know you've messed up with the card. When when it's bad and people still want it like obliterate. Same with Reno too. Like, Reno's not even amazing right now, but people still want that deleted because it just feels so bad in a different level.
But the lack of interactivity, right? Like, you don't get to play anymore. That's those kinds of cards are always tough to get hit by, because like, even if I'm getting destroyed, at least like sometimes I'll be able to have a turn, even if it's not going to be good enough. But like, when I don't even get to play the game, that's where it feels pretty bad.
Like, what's the point?
I look at Quasar, turn 4 tsunamis into turn 5 tsunamis and stuff. It's like I didn't really get to do anything or have a chance. That feeling kind of is rough for me.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I feel like a lot of the metagame is right now, is so many of those type of interactions. And I think they need to be scaled down. And I don't think starships create that feeling, right? It's a progressional, you're building it up. Same with Draenei. Draenei leads into another Draenei that leads into another Draenei. It's all supposed to be progressive. And I feel like that's what Hearthstone used to be about, right? Like, you built up into your N'Zoth, you built up into your Cthulhu, you built up your Jades, you built up your mid-range deck into or like mid-range Hunter into your Katrina. Like, it always felt like it built up to something, and now it's just you get the thing way too early and just win.
That's an example I bring up all the time actually on stream, is N'Zoth existing versus the Scourge. And now you have Huddle Up as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, one, you had to literally build your entire deck around it for this huge effect. And the other, it's just a card. You just get it, and sometimes you just win with 0 synergies, 0 setup. And I think that really showcases a big like design change that they've been going, the last few years, that those choices to just make these boom I win cards rather than make them more synergy based has been pretty apparent.
A huge example for that to me, and this card's not OP, it's not busted, but to me it kind of is that sign is Kill Jaden, that it has no requirement. It's just this demon that gives you infinite demons, infinite scaling, anti-fatigue. It's like, I know it's not OP, but like, you just can play it in any deck with no restriction. Like, I just feel like to summon an infinite portal of ever growing demons, you should at least, maybe have had to sacrifice some demons throughout the game to unlock this portal. But no, you just get it. You don't have to do anything for it. You can discover the demon and play.
It's like if Kazakuzan was just a battle cry, right?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying it needs to be nerfed or anything, but it's just like, to me, I don't love that design choice for game cards. I think the card is cool. I think it can exist, but I feel like you should have to do something to unlock that, because historically you used to have to for almost like any of these cards. But recently we saw that with Marin, you just get the treasures, you just get them. Sargeras, you just get the portal, like you just get the card. Like, there's a lot more of that, and I don't really like that. I don't know, it just doesn't feel very Hearthstone to me a lot of the time. I feel like there should be some hoop to jump through. You can make the card a bit cheaper maybe, or whatever, to compensate for that. But yeah, I don't know, take some of the charm out of the game, at least for me.
I think
it's a pretty common. I was just going to say, it's pretty common for old time players like us, right? Like, we've played for so many years. It kind of makes you wonder, what brand new players think of that, right? I'm sure for some people, being able to beat Zeddy, is even having the option is a great feeling, and having cards that do that promotes good feelings for them. I'm with you. I personally don't love that philosophy at all either, and I'd love to see more synergies and effort. But you assume there's going to be a chunk of the crowd that does enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I got told when I posted that, well, you have to play a 7-mana 7/7. I'm like, dude, you know what we used to have to play to get? you had to play Kazakhstan was an 8-mana 8/8 do nothing too. You know, like it's a silly argument.
And that's what I mean is some people, and sometimes the newer players too will say, well, you got to do this, and it's like you don't even know, you have no idea.
I used to have to play a 5-mana 2/2 to a 5-mana 3/3 into a 4/4 5/5 a 6/6, and then get a 10/10 that I'd spend 10 mana just to blow up the rest of your deck, and we did it. Okay.
Yeah. You can tell the people that have never summoned Sunkeeper Ra. But,
exactly.
I don't mind running into the occasional Quasar Rogue, because when it's their turn, that's when I get up. I'm streaming. I get up. I go get myself a snack. I use the bathroom. I come back, and either I'm dead or I kill them. But I agree with you as far as like, you know, I think that what's his name, Kill Jaden. I think you should get -2 health every turn or something, or some sort of penalty for playing a card that gives you infinite cards. Like maybe you can survive it, whatever, but there should be some sort of, because you can't even like shuffle things in. And this is the interesting thing that I was thinking about when we were talking about Quasar Rogue, what makes the designers decide if something should be shuffled into your deck or their deck? Like bombs get shuffled into their deck. Asteroids get shuffled into your deck. Like if asteroids get shuffled into your opponent's deck versus your deck, then Quasar Rogue doesn't exist, right? Then Quasar Rogue fails. And other things like that, plague get shuffled into their deck. I always kind of curious about the philosophy of how they decide whose deck something gets shuffled in as far as those negative effects. And like, I think that makes a difference as far as how some of these effects happen. But
yeah, that's an interesting one. I feel like that's probably more like less about like gameplay design and more about flavor, maybe. Like you are, you know, putting a mine in your opponent's deck as a sabotage versus from your side of the board, meteors and asteroids are raining down onto your opponent. You know what I mean? I think that might be more of a flavor consideration on a lot of those, because it doesn't seem like super. I don't know. I don't know if they were specifically going to be like, okay, asteroids and Quasar Rogue, you know, or you know, maybe it's something that came up, but I think flavor probably plays a big part in that.
Sure, but it's just like when they make those kind of concepts, like they changed the way Boom Boss works, right, for a while, like or whatever. So it's just interesting how things like that work. But so we obviously know how Zeddy feels about Quasar, but Zeddy, what do you want to see change this expansion? We have our next balance patch. They said they're going to give us the announcement on Wednesday. So we've had the announcement of the announcement of the announcement. We're going to find out what's happening on Wednesday, and then we're going to get the patch on Thursday. Beautiful. I love that they're doing this. But what do you want to see changed?
I just want to see like pretty much all the top strategies dialed back. And then buff, like you can buff Librams, which are terrible. You can buff the living crap out of like the was the Demon Hunter thing, like the sus mechanic. It is so bad. Like it's so bad. So like I would like to see some really heavy nerfs with some pretty strong buffs to the bad stuff, and like, you know, you could boost up starships a little bit and Draenei, but I wouldn't do anything too crazy, because when they do stuff crazy, you get your con mans, you get your razzle dazzlers, all that. Like we've had so many cards that got buffed that have been nerfed again since then that it's dangerous to do. But I just think, I don't know, personally, I just want to see the power level in Hearthstone come down significantly, and that's what I would like to see. And that includes like stuff that punishes starships, so like Reskas and your Renos and that type of stuff, to not be as lucrative to punish that stuff. And because I feel like this set really, I don't know, when I play this expansion's cards versus it's somebody else playing this expansion cards, it just feels good. Like win or lose, it just felt like more traditional Hearthstone to me, and I just would like to get that. And I feel like the only way to do that is, I'm not getting tsunami'd over and over by turns 5 and 6 and dying to like, I don't know if you face much Cycle Rogue, but they're summoning 0 mana 4-drops consistently, 4 of them on turns 3 and 4 right now. And if you somehow deal with that, then you just die to infinite damage from Sonya. It's like really hard to beat with anything. I don't know. I just want to see a bit less giant mana scans and some more just playing the stuff you actually have to pay mana for would be nice for a little bit, at least. But I don't know. We'll see. We did get that one balance patch before the set came out where they did dial back a bunch of stuff. So they seem to be wanting to bring things down a bit. The set looks like they want to bring things down a bit. So yeah, maybe we'll see some nerfs come down. And I just think we really need a nerf patch. And I know I'm the guy who always wants to nerf everything, but I genuinely feel that way right now, is to let this expansion shine, because I do think it's a really sick one that it just needs some breathing room right now.
How about yourself, Judge? What would you like to see change? And I'm just curious, are crewmates actually okay in Arena?
Oh God.
So not really, but the 2-mana 1/3 that adds a crewmate to your hand is just like a fine card just because it's a fine card, not really because crewmates or anything. It's just like, it's probably the most consistent way. Oh, you know what? And that one that adds a card in the middle. That's pretty rare though to find in Arena. The one that gives you like a cheap demon.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's because like, I wouldn't say it's because like crewmate synergy is so good, but just because like those are just good Arena cards in general anyways.
Do a card in Arena is typically decent.
Yeah. Stats with value is generally just solid no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
As far as what I want to see changed, this is a very common one for Arena players, is if the patch notes have an Arena heading, that's the dream. Like, that's awesome, you know? So I'm just praying for that. For real, like, yeah, like I said, I know that not much is probably going to be changing with Arena until the new Arena's out in general. But man, it would just be lovely to see even just one balance patch per meta. And Death Knight desperately needs it right now. Just obviously this is Arena specific. It's me, but Death Knight Death Rattle cards.
Oh, it's so obnoxious.
Yeah, they got to be, lots of those need to be harshly reduced in offering rate.
It's like
the class will probably still be fine. Yeah,
it's always mosh pit into the 2/2, and then it's like,
yeah, the 6-mana 2/2, and if not
done.
that, Obsidian Revenant. But yeah, and then it's Death Growl. I've been hit by Reska Death Growl like 5 times, and I've only played like 15 to 20 runs. So it's like, it's that's huge. Potential combos that can even win in against some slower standard decks, honestly. And then this, some of the weaker classes nudged up a bit, as always, is a good call too. I don't know that that's going to happen. The metas are, for those who don't know, a little bit shorter now than they have been. They're doing 2 different metas between the new mini sets and expansions now, instead of just one. So we are getting changes cycling that way a little more quickly. My guess is to perhaps counter the fact that they just aren't having time to do that much balancing, which is a good idea. Gives you some change. But I would love to see that Outlier and Death Knight brought down a little. As far as standard goes, I really have only played, I played in Theory Crafting, and then I played a little bit like opening couple of days, but not enough for the meta to really settle in yet. So people were playing a little more new stuff. My Arcane Druid spaceship deck did pretty well, but I didn't play long enough to ever be like in that legend meta Zeddy's playing in. And then every time, honestly, I think what happened is I got hit by a turn 4 tsunami and then didn't play again. Exactly like we were saying before. I was like, okay, back to Arena. I still get turn 4 tsunami sometimes there in different ways. In dual class, there was the Rogue Mage 4-mana 2/2. Your next spell costs 0 into tsunami, but that was maybe less common.
Are starships viable at all in Arena?
So it depends on what class.
Death Knight, pretty much. Actually, yeah. I had an arcane one that worked out. I got like 9 or 10.
That's the dream. That's cool. Druid's not really super good right now, so yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think that the neutral armor card is actually just kind of an okay card.
The card's just insane. Like,
yeah. So
Druid, like in standard, the Druid Starship deck just plays that. That's it. They don't even play the arcade stuff. They just play the armor one and bring it back.
Yeah. And it's pretty good in Arena too. And even if it's just like you have literally that in your deck only, and it's a viable card just with healing, body, taunt, and then you just have 6 board spots for a while. Or whatever. Maybe you fill it in later in the game to just launch it when you don't have much else to do. It's okay. Not like there's a lot better stuff, but it's pretty much like you said. Death Knight has the 3-mana 2/2 Death Rattle, and then you're giving that reborn a million times to make a giant spaceship, and then you're giving that reborn, and then it's just over. That is a viable thing. Not as common of a win condition as the 6-mana 2/2s that Summon 8 drops, but you see Death Knight spaceships. Death Knight can just kind of do anything and win right now.
And if you draft Assimilating Blight, you're quite likely to hit the piece too. So that
I've actually not drafted that card yet, but I'm super jealous. Everyone's playing that, and it looks absolutely broken.
One copy, and then I faced C and Cutie guy yesterday, and he had 3 in his first 8 cards.
Oof.
I lost very badly.
To be fair, I've been turning down Death Knight a bunch. I had a priest, an 11-win priest. Actually, freaking that cheater Dreads beat me at 11 wins with his busted Death Knight. But I was a priest, and I ran 3. What is that card called? The 1 mana silence deal 2.
1 mana silence.
Yeah. Deafen. That's the one.
Oh yeah. The rogue priest.
Yeah, rogue priest. 3 Deafens and the Murloc, like Booty Bay Murloc lifeguard guy.
The Swole. I call him Swolfin. You have to pick him in this meta.
And literally, like, just drafted it for the sole purposes of beating up Death Knights. Mm-hmm. And it beat up a lot of them and felt good. I've been going that route instead of the Death Knight route.
As far as crewmates, I think what's missing, I hope they rework them a bit. Like, I hope they don't just buff up mana or stats. I think what they need to do is some of these minions like have to give the other stats. Like, so hey, the adjacent crewmates that are summoned also gain Divine Shield or a random effect or something like that. I think there needs to be more than just stats, because I think the concept they have is cool, but I think they're just missing something. And I hope they kind of
I would just make them 3 mana so I can actually play them and not feel horrible about it if I have to. But yeah, it's not exactly exciting.
Doc, what would you like to see change in the current meta?
Reno. Get rid of him. Hall of Fame him. Get him out of here.
Well, he's Hall of Fame, and he's gone in a couple months.
That's fair. I get it. But when he shuts down the cool thing that the new expansion is supposed to do, I feel like Hall of Fame him, even though he gets to leave in a couple months, is worth it. Like, he's been around longer than Genabaku.
What about just changing his battle cry to not poofing the board and just removing minions?
Yeah, make it so it doesn't target the new thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that would probably be the more fair way to nerf him. Just have, like, only minions, no locations or starships.
See, I disagree a little bit.
I wouldn't mind him going 12 mana.
I disagree a little bit. I think you should still poof starships and whatever, but I think that High Noon should limit the board to 1 on each side. So there's a penalty. So yeah, maybe your starship goes away, but so does theirs. Like, it clears the board and only you can play 1 minion and they can play 1 minion. Because that's what a duel is, right? That's what High Noon is. It's like 1v1. It's not 1v many. So I think if they did something like that and remove that and made that fair and not whatever, I think that would be fine.
Make it double-sided. All the minions are gone. Twisting Nether now. That would make it so much worse.
How about just give your other Highlander cards +1 attack?
There you go.
Give your rush minions, give your charge minions +3 attack. Question. One final question before we kind of wrap this up. Would you Reno's gone. Reno's gone in a couple months. So, I mean, they got to do something about it, but he's gone. Would you Hall of Fame Ziliax right now? Judge?
Yeah.
So, Ziliax is a card that, another card, like I say with Tourist, that I've played very little because it's not draftable in Arena, right? Because, what would happen? You get it, then you get to make your own version. That'd be sick, to be honest. If that did happen, if you could just like get offered Ziliax and then when you press it, you get to custom create it or something. That being said, like, I've seen the numbers. I've seen just like how many decks it's in now. You got to take that with a grain of salt because there's so many different versions that it isn't just the exact same card every time. Although it kind of is now the exact same card every time. I think that, like, as a guy who's played so much less standard than you guys, and I see Unkiliax, and I and it just is such a defeating thing to see sometimes in a lot of different archetypes and a lot of different games. I think it's a really cool card, and I think it got so much play. They did nerf it. Yeah, I don't know. I could see it. Again, I'm not as knowledgeable in this with this card as you guys, but I could see it because it's been so common, so relevant. One of the coolest cards in theory in general that they've ever made. But you know what did its thing? I don't know. I don't know that you'd ever just like continue with nerfing as certain archetypes got strong, because, you know, eventually it's going to settle into which Ziliax is the strongest. Okay, you nerf this. Now this is in every deck or whatever. So I feel like it's definitely like a Hall of Fame type worthy card.
And to me, it's not the card itself. Like, even if you have Unkiliax, you can get through it. It's fine. It's the fact that they can come back over and over and over again.
That's
so
true.
like getting through it once, yeah, that's fine. But then you get the hydration station. Then you get the other thing.
I should have mentioned, that feeling of dread isn't because of that one on Kiliax. It's because, you know, you're done. You know, there are some games where you absolutely, you'd concede. You can't. It's like, okay, they have it. They got it on board. And you know the deck, and it's just not going anywhere.
All right, Zeddy, Hall of Fame material?
Yeah, I mean, it's been nerfed 4 times already, and it's gotten multiple cards nerfed alongside of it.
4 times, really?
4 times directly.
Oh my god, I did not know that. 4 times.
And
Different
multiple
modules.
card. Yeah, but like still, and it's still in every like I'm sick of the card. Like, and it's another year. Like, unless they like nerf it again, I and the early access Tavern Brawl was very telling in what a Ziliax world next year is going to look like, where it dominated the entire format. It was just all on Kiliax spam and or just ticking module and aggro, scamming games too. I just feel like unless you nerf it to oblivion, it's just going to be in like every deck, and it just creates a fatigue, right? Like that. It's not quite the same as Get Baku, where it makes the games feel the same, because it's like they're going to hero power a lot and stuff like that. But it just seems to be this unbalanceable card, and it's just I just feel like I'm worried it creates fatigue with Hearthstone players. Like, I'm so done with this. It's been a full year. It's in over half the decks the entire time. It could definitely be warranted to be Hall of Famed. Should it be? Probably not. I feel like they could still adjust it more. Particular like virus module, maybe just take the reborn off could help. But I don't know. It's a tricky one. I don't think they will. I'd be very surprised if they would, but it's the closest I would have come to rotate a card early that I've ever been since Gen Baku, which I think most people agreed was the correct decision at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
See, I think I personally, like, I've gone back and forth on this. I think it's one of the coolest cards they've ever made. I think their mistake is they've made it so that way you can always combine any 2 modules. Make it so that way there's some modules you just can't combine because it'll cost 11 or 12 or 13 if you combine them. Like, just adjust things so you can't make Unkiliax. Adjust things so that way you can still use either module, but you have to use it with a lesser module and go from
Druid
there.
card lol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. But even if it's just Druid and Warrior right now, then at least it's just Druid and Warrior, and it costs them a lot more, even though instead of playing it on turn 6, they can play it on actual turn 10. Because it costs 16.
Chemical spill. Chemical spill just says lol. Ruins all of that. Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's not problems, but it's the concept of the card.
I know what you're getting. No, I don't think it's about, like, it's just really hard to balance, It's a cool concept, but it's a concept that had never been explored before, and maybe for good reason. It's really hard to balance something where you can do so many things with such, powerful keywords on that, right? It's really tough. I'm not upset they made the card. I've been a fan of it. It's just like, it'll be a full year of seeing that in over half the decks. It's pretty crazy.
Yep.
Imagine adding, instead of removing Reborn, also adding, I guess it would actually actively remove Reborn, but a Death Rattle that's removed this from the game, kind of like how Life Sentence is removed this from the game. Mm-hmm. Death Rattle, this is gone. It's gone. It's not coming back.
Yeah.
No, I like that. Like, you get it once, and
or it could you could put the once per game on it. I wonder if that would work. Like, they have on the Zarimi and the Time Warp in Wild.
Yeah, just give it Reborn once per game, so you get it that extra time, and then all the other copies is just as it is what it is when it enters. Like,
Exile.
It's probably tough to make that fix without making it like overly complicated for new players and average players, but maybe there's a way.
Just exile it, and then we have a whole new thing. You have the graveyard, you have your exile pile, and then you can bring back an exile pile.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Just completely. Let's just completely rework the entire structure of the game, and we've got something here.
It might make Ziliax work.
Yeah.
Or just all future renditions of this is 1/1. I don't know, something. Even that'll probably still be broken. Like, remember
if 5 of these have died, destroy your hero.
Yes.
Boom. Problem solved.
Yeah, reborn, deal 5 damage to your hero. There you go. I like it. So, Doc, that was a lot. We talked about
it sure
quite a bit,
was.
but I think I have a little room for dessert. What do you think?
Yeah, dessert sounds pretty good. So, fellas, the last time either of you were on, we had at least asked you what your favorite dessert was. But this time, we'll ask you what your favorite Hearthstone card is of all time. So, Zeddy, what is your favorite card of all time?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this. I'm gonna give it to Malagos. I played that card so many times throughout the years, particularly in Druid. That and Mage are my most played classes, and I don't know, just the idea of this giant dragon that has just all that spell damage and being able to create cool combos around it. Just something I really enjoy in Hearthstone, and the flavors there. I want them to make like a signature for the card at some point, and then we just got the Malagos portrait for Mage, which I really love. Way too expensive, but I really love it. And I'll give honorable mentions to Emperor Thorson, which like just enabled so many different things back in the day. That was really cool. Getting that, making your hand less, and then just Prince Renathal, because he's my boy. I got to give Prince my love. I know he's hated by some, but I love him.
Yeah.
That 40 health, 40 cards. I will say his short return to standard was like a tease, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, he's probably too good to be in standard permanently. It's a little too, like, I think I undersold his impact because I liked him a lot. I was pretty biased towards him, but in Wild, he's still very strong and will, I think, forever be strong until they make some other card like that does something even better. But yeah, I'll give it to Malagos. It is just a really cool dragon.
And I like that. Like you said, hey, you can get the other portrait, but it's super expensive. I don't care how expensive they make that stuff. Like, yeah, it's cool. If I can't afford it, it's cosmetic. If that's something that only people with lots of money can spend, and that's how they're making some money, I don't care. Do it. Like, go.
I'm fine with it. I wish more people could enjoy it. That's all. Because it's just a really sick portrait.
It's better than having to buy the bundle to get Corridor Sleeper.
As long as they don't raise the prices on those packs, I'm definitely approving.
Oh, that would be the day.
Yeah, that would not go over well.
No, and I don't even like the fact that we reverted quests, because I liked having to play 5 games versus win 5 games. And
I don't know why they couldn't have just left it at play. Like really, or if you, I just told them, like, why not make it play 7? Like if you want it to be less XP, okay, don't do the play 10, do just play 7, and people will be a lot more comfortable. But maybe down the road, I don't know, but. It's just a lot more fun to be able to play whatever you want and not have to worry about winning.
Yeah. I don't see why they couldn't have just had both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, just had the play one, maybe its offering rate be slightly less, so you get the win one a little bit more if they want to incentivize like you playing more to have to win. But like, I don't know. I don't know if they have like a set number of quests that they have to like can only have, but
or win 5 or play 10. Same quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Judge.
Yeah,
Judge,
that
favorite
works.
Favorite card. What you got?
Oh, this is so hard. I have so many favorite cards. But I can do this. I'm going to say perhaps honorable mentions to Replicatatron.
Wait,
Because
hold on. What is that card? Because I have no idea what that card is that you just said.
That card is, that's understandable. I should explain for the viewers anyway, or the listeners, because nobody knows this card really. It's a 4 mana. Yes, 4 mana. Well, of course, Zeddy knows.
I just want to prove I know what the card is.
It's a 4 mana 3/3 mech that has the effect at the end of the turn, transform an adjacent minion into a copy of this. And
yep.
it is like an anomaly, in my opinion, in the arena, because it was one of the maybe the only card that was so garbage and so horribly, like the win rate was horrible and no even good player took it. And then I can't do this in good conscience without shouting out Veritas, did co-ops with him every week for the longest time, who's the one who found out the power of this card. And it's easily the most underrated arena card, in my opinion, in history. And it was actually, man, like if you knew how to use it, I got to plug a YouTube video of mine. I'm not even really posting on YouTube anymore, but there is a YouTube on my YouTube video on my channel that is exactly how to play this card. Because people, the reason it had such horrible win rates is because it's extremely difficult to play, because it's really based on order of operations, exactly when its effect will go off relative to other effects, because it's all about like when things were summoned. But like, it is actually such a good card. Obviously, this was years ago and it's still good. I even drafted it like literally in dual class just a little bit ago. But just like every old card, its power creep has made better versions. I mean, Malignant Horror exists now, so I can't really say that Replicatatron's better than that. But that's what it was like. It was like a bad Malignant Horror. And Malignant Horror was banned this year from Arena. Came back, but it was banned. So underrated card. Another shout out to Cabal Courier, which was just years ago one of my favorite cards when they brought out Discover. The mechanic was just gorgeous. I still think it is, maybe a bit overused now, but understated minion offering fun cards. I just felt like Mage, Priest, and Warlock were more fun to discover from than the other classes, and that was my favorite of those tri classes. But then I will give a card that I've also drafted recently, the number one, and that is Trick Totem. Oh God, I love that card. I draft that card every chance I get, whether it's going to cause me to win or lose.
I never pass on the Trick Totem. You can't.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. If you believe, it's kind of like Yogg. If you believe, it will help you. It will. I do like that it's not like Puzzle Box, where it just does so much that inevitably it's pretty much always going to be good, or sometimes you need the game. Like, it is a super fun effect with a much greater risk with only one spell. It can be like, it's good to me that it's not as powerful as something like Puzzle Box, because like, I'm not a huge fan of just playing one card, like I talked about with the Scourge, and just winning. It could happen with Trick Totem, but it's just like a worse version of those effects, which I think is where that power level should be for such an effect. I love that card.
I'd love to see a card like it, but it also, like, what is it? A spell that costs 3 or less or something like that. I'd love to see it. Every turn it's out there, it can cast a turn that's 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. So if you can somehow keep it and protect it, it can get stronger and stronger.
Maybe they make a chaotic totem that does that. Chaotic tendril style.
I like it.
Would be fun. So, listeners, please leave us a review. We prefer 5 stars because it helps with visibility, but give us an honest rating. Let us know how we're doing, good, bad, the ugly, because we want the show to be as good as it can be for you and as good as it can be for us. So if there's things we can improve on, we'd like to know. Zeddy, where can people find you on social media?
I am over on the YouTubes at Zeddy Hearthstone, Twitch at Zeddy, Twitter ZeddyHS, and I just try and blue skies now, I guess. ZeddyHS there, I think it is. I don't know. But yeah, I'm all around the place. I'm always saying stupid stuff, getting mad, whatever. But always trying to have a fun time. And overall, it's always about just a silly game that we all love, or sometimes love to hate, And yeah, that's what I'm doing.
We love and hate it together,
Exactly.
and Zeddy, we as we talked about the first time you were here, you kind of have a reputation in Hearthstone, and like, I think you've worked well past that, but people hold on to that. So it's been funny that there's been times where I've talked to people and like I said, we've had Zeddy on, and they're like, oh, I don't like Zeddy. I'm like, listen to the episode. Listen to the first episode we have on. And they're like, oh, no. And they finally do. And they're like, yeah, actually, you know what? I kind of like Zeddy now. It makes sense. So I have always been, a proponent of how much of a journey you've taken over the last few years and how far you've come. And I appreciate you, my friend.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
How about yourself, Judge?
You can find me on Twitch. It's just Judge, twitch.tv/Judge. Probably the easiest way from there is there, like I've got a Linktree link below my Twitch channel. I've been kind of using different social medias a varying amount lately. I used to post on YouTube a lot more, doing that less now. Just, a lot of, like I said, with the wife 2,000 miles away, number one priority is maintaining that relationship, and my relationship with streaming as perhaps number two. So I'm kind of like in and out of a lot of different stuff often, but on Twitch quite often, and Discord and Twitter and all that you can find in the link tree.
A little side note on that, though, you've also been kind of endeavoring to further your career in software, right?
That's true. So it's funny because this comes up now when you asked way back at the beginning, what are you doing outside of Hearthstone? I had that as something to bring up, and then I forgot, and I was like, well, I'm die already, whatever, doesn't matter. But you're absolutely right. I have been actually finished a computer science, an intro beginner course. It's called CS50 for any, developers out there who might have heard of it. Harvard offers a free course. I took that, completed it. So pretty much I'm a developer now, Now, but for real, I've been learning a lot. I'm on to a second course in database management. The idea is that by the time I move to Seattle, a huge tech city, that I'll, be hopefully prepared to use some of the contacts I have there. A lot of my friends in the industry, which is advantageous to perhaps get some. I almost said supplementary, as if like computer science would supplement streaming, but do both. Would be super awesome.
Doc, how about yourself? Where can people find you?
You can find me in your local Discords, and if I'm not there, I could probably be there soon. And you can find me over on Blue Sky at Doc McButt, and Twitch on the weekends, which I've been very irregular with, but looking to get that back going up here pretty soon. How about yourself, Tito?
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Tito Santana HS. And if I'm somewhere you don't think I am, let me know. I'll get there. But hey, Doc, anything to shout out or promote this week?
No, just thank you both, Judge and Zeddy, for being on the show and talking with us. And it's just fun talking Hearthstone with people. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
How about yourself, Judge? Anybody you want to shout out this week?
I'll just real quick just list off some names of arena streamers who people may or may not know. Just great community over in the arena. We've been really awesome to have Zeddy be even more a part of that this last year as well. A lot of people will already know the big names of Dreads, Dose of Coffee, and Redbeard. Awesome guys. There's also Neo Greg, one of the best players on the planet. Save File 17, a fantastic streamer. Some other big ones, Mafundi, fantastic guy I've known for a long time. And another one is Gray Gecko, who is a little smaller, making his way onto the scene. He's hit me up with a couple raids of getting a nice community going there. So shout out to the arena community and those guys. Probably missing someone, sorry, but that's that'll be good for now.
And how about yourself, Zeddy?
I'll just shout out Alex Ovechkin, who got a hat trick today, which was impressive. He got an empty netter. He's 29 away from Gretzky's record, but
he's a big fan of the show.
Yeah, shout out for Hearthstone. I always shout out my boys Jin and Theo. They're Dutch. They confuse the two. I'm always active in their communities, always hanging around there, and yeah, all the arena creators that Judge mentioned are fantastic. And I don't know, don't have much going on myself besides just uploads and the usual stuff. So
make sure you watch. If you're listening to this when we release it on Wednesday, make sure you go watch Zeddy's video from the day before, because from what I hear, it's going to be very interesting, right?
Very not quite battle pass rant, but just disappointment. Just disappointed. That's all.
This is a Zeddy rant you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
Number seven will surprise you.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Lore Master Eve, who is retiring from Hearthstone podcasting this week. We're going to miss her. She was a great addition to not only Velen's Chosen when they existed, but also Blizzard. I think she brought kind of like the straight man to a show that really needed a straight man. And we're all going to miss her. She's just a fantastic individual and hope she comes back at some point in some way, shape, or form. I also like to shout out to Doc's Frogs, who managed to keep it in their pants tonight. Obviously, Zeddy and Judge, who came on our show tonight and talk about the exciting things that are happening in Hearthstone. And, Doc, thanks for sticking with me for 99 episodes. I appreciate you. But anyway, guys, I think that's it. I think we're toast. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
You guys can say goodbye.
Oi.
Later. Oh, now I regret that. I could have done better.
Slide two brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.